Joe Ben.
And the Mighty Lurch.
And we are
Wreckless Freaks. And you're listening to Nerdvana.
The following may not be appropriate for all ages. Parental advisory suggested. If you are okay, however, with mild cursing and talk of memories, we invite you to keep listening.
Hello, nerd and nerdettes. This is Liliana D'Arcangelo with Nerdvana Webcast, and I'm flying solo today. Everyone else decided that they had work and other important things to do, so I am here with the Wreckless Freaks, interviewing them solo.
Freaks.
How are you guys doing today?
Recovering.
Yeah, recovering. 2 different reasons, though.
For completely different reasons, yes. The Mighty Lurch just had a bone spur removed from his right ankle.
Yep.
Yeah.
First day out of the house since surgery happened Tuesday morning.
I was at an undisclosed location at the AmDef rap party last night. I'm not even 12 hours away from that yet, so yeah.
So they're all kind of sort of here. I'm just going to make this fun.
Yeah.
Yay.
Woo.
So you guys are going to be at Odd Mall on the 22nd, correct?
We are.
Yep.
So what are you guys going to be doing there?
Well, we've been given the opportunity to actually kind of take over our own stage for the day, and we're bringing a number of our friends, and one of which is fabulous Ryan Muller, who put on AmDef and runs a company called Active Entertainment, who does local fashion shows monthly, the Chance Fashion event, and AmDef is the annual event that he does. He's going to be bringing some models, and we're going to be doing a little fashion show. The Mighty Lurch and I are obviously going to be doing our Circus Sideshow performance. We'll be joined by Twisted Tristan, the world's foremost sword swallower. And we've got some belly dancers,
Yep.
and some DJs, and a band possibly. So we're
No band on our stage.
no band on our stage. Okay,
No.
yeah,
No, we've got
that was
some-
up in the air for a minute there.
Right.
So,
Contortion. Got someone coming up to do contortion. And something I'm interested in checking out, Morgan will be doing a family-friendly burlesque act.
Is there
a
such
couple
a
of
thing?
times throughout the day. So apparently it exists. So I'm curious to see what it is.
all right.
That sounds interesting. I didn't know that existed.
I
Yeah.
was pretty curious myself. So she says she's got something though. We'll see what happens.
So what kind of sideshow do you guys do?
I guess what we do is what Jim Rose brought back in the early 90s. Doing various, I don't know, stupid human tricks, some people would call them. We're trying to call them feats. We just come up with crazy things to do, and then using a knowledge of physics, anatomy, and mind over matter, we're able to do things that look insanely crazy, that could very seriously harm or kill you if done wrong, but we do them in such a way where we escape relatively unscathed.
The Circus Sideshow performance scene died in the late 60s, early 70s with the... basically, movies killed circuses. That's more or less what happened. And Jim Rose was a sideshow revival guy. He had done his homework, he had studied his history, and he thought that it would be a very relevant entertainment format. And he absolutely repopularized a basically dead art form. It was only 30 years past, but nonetheless. It's one of those things where until political correctness became such a thing, Freaks had Freaks had a place, and then due to political correctness, they were no longer really given the opportunity in the late 70s and through the 80s to do what they do, whether that be a born freak or a made freak like us. We don't possess any abnormalities that we were born with, but we do process pain in a different way than most people. So we are what is called a made freak, self-made freak. So we are continuing the tradition that Jim Rose repopularized by laying on beds of nails and pounding nails into our nose and walking on broken glass and laying in thumbtacks and getting center blocks broken over us with sledgehammers and dropping bowling balls on people. And it's like the Mighty Lurch said, it's physics, anatomy, and mind over matter, or MOM. What we do is we brainstorm an idea. We're like, hey, could we do this? And then we think about it for a second. We're like, okay, well, if we do this thing and that thing, this will probably work out. Yeah, let's try it. And there have certainly been mishaps along the way, figuring things out. The process of trying to figure out how to strap explosives to a sledgehammer head took a lot of practice and a lot of getting sledgehammers swung at you with explosives attached to the front of them and trying to get them to go off. And 6 months into it, I finally figured out the right way to do it, which I can't tell you how because you should never do this at home. Please. we are trained professionals. Yes. So yeah, we like to expand people's concepts of what is possible. Mm-hmm. That's really what I like.
Show what the human body is capable of going through and surviving. Another thing that we'll do is piercings. We take large steel hooks and put it through our skin and do a tug of war against each other or hang from the ceiling.
Sounds like fun.
Oh, it is.
It is.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But speaking of that, with my recent trip to the OR, I did get some surgical pens and some other cool little things.
That's always nice. I love medical supplies. It's the best part about going to the hospital is rating their shit. They're like, yeah. So, funny sideshow story. When I was working with the previous troupe that I was with, which is No Losses Freaks, my friend Tim ended up at the hospital after getting cut open by a plate that was broken by a bowling ball that I dropped on him.
And yet he still dropped it on me that time.
He ended up he ends up at the ER one day to get some stitches because he really needed them. And the freaks that we are, him and his now wife, girlfriend at the time, now wife, as soon as the doctor left the room with the suture current right there, actually I probably shouldn't tell any more of this story. This is going on, but I think you guys probably get the message. We love medical supplies, so if you work in the medical industry, by all means, I would love to get a hold of any sutures, any scalpel blades. These are things that are very useful to me. Sharps container. Yeah, no, that would be great. Have one of those. We're poor. We can't afford what medical insurance companies pay for these things. So
happily, the stuff that I got was freely donated by the hospital because once I told them what I do for a hobby, they're like, "Oh, yeah, sure."
Nobody ever stole anything. Nobody ever stole anything. It was just permanently borrowed.
Yeah.
Borrowed with no intention of returning.
Indeed.
Well, and plus now we've got the packaging, we can then look online and order. One of the things that I'm excited about, I got some of those, when they do the IV on the back of your hand and they put that plastic film over the top of it, I've got a few of those.
Sweet.
Which I think is going to be awesome. One of the things that I do is my Wolverine piercings, where we'll take sharpened bicycle spokes, and then Ben, and then usually our friend Hatter will come over and help out. We'll take a little pinch of the skin on the back of my hand and shove it through, and then do it a little bit lower, and it ends up looking like Wolverine claws, just bicycle spoke wise coming out of the back of my hands.
It'll be really nice to cover those up so you can
Right,
walk around.
exactly. At Crypticon, so many people wanted to take pictures with me. I was just trying to get over to the main room for a quick picture in front of the green screen, and then back to get them out. It took me half an hour to get over there because there were literally people waiting in line to get a picture with me. So it was a little painful pulling them out. So I'm hoping that having that film will eliminate any of the clotting and the drying that makes them so sticky.
Right? The problems of a sideshow performer. Yeah, I started, healing too quickly. And
Yeah.
So we've covered what you guys kind of do and everything, and you guys got Twisted Tristan, which does sword swallowing, which I haven't seen in a while. For those of you that don't know, check Facebook for Twisted Tristan. He's awesome.
Yes.
He's a sweetheart. So what other kinds of things do you guys do aside from sticking sharp pointy objects in your skin and dropping stuff on each other?
Well, one of the things that we do, like in our brainstorming sessions, which usually involves alcohol, and then we're like,
Fueled
oh,
by
hey,
Jameson.
wouldn't this be cool? Yeah, exactly, fueled by Jameson. But then we sober up and then look at it and, okay, can this realistically be done? The other thing is a lot of the classic stunts, feats, like the human blockhead, where you take a nail and run it straight back to the nasal cavity. People have been doing that since, when did Melvin do it first?
Melvin Burkhart repopularized it in the early 30s.
In the 30s.
It became an entertainment format. Pounding steel spikes or iron spikes into your nose was actually a medical treatment in the 15th, 16th century. It was to help anemia, which actually did sort of work. You do, believe it or not. They used to put iron rods in people's nasal cavities.
And then they would absorb the iron.
And they'd absorb the iron.
Which helps the clotting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's funny how that works. But it became an entertainment format in the early 30s. A man by the name of Melvin Burkhart, who performed literally to his last dying day. I think he died in 98, 99, something like that. That's the guy who sort of created the human blockhead as a common format.
Right. So then, because a lot of the feats are done by so many different people, we'll go and look at one and go, okay, how can we make this cooler? So one of the ideas, I don't even remember how it came up. I think it's because Ben had found a golf club, a 7-iron, while walking home one day. So it's like, oh, hey, we'll come up with some ideas for this. And then one day we were trying to figure out how to expand on some stunts, and he was like, hey, would you let me hit a golf ball off your face? And I'm like, no. So then we thought about it, and then the end result is this wooden custom golf tee that our friend Boner, the ball handling clown, made for us. It's the same diameter as the biggest nail that I use. So what we did at AMDEF is I laid down and stuck this in my face. We put another little golf tee on it. Ben stood on a board and knocked
On your
right,
chest.
Yeah, the board was on my chest, and so he teed off my face. It was a few inches away, but
Nonetheless, I hit a golf ball off my friend's face.
Yes.
And there's great pictures if you go to facebook.com/wreckless freaks, reckless with a W, freaks with 2 E's.
Yep.
You can absolutely see pictures, and I think there might even be video at this
oh,
point.
there's various video. In fact, the latest AMDEF promo one from I think it's Social Outreach Seattle actually has a good shot. It blips past real quick, but
Yeah.
with you teeing off right off my face.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So can we look forward to that at Oddmall?
Possibly.
Yeah, I would say that would be one that we could definitely fit in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there are certain feats that are easy to do multiple times throughout the day. So if we're busking, it's really easy to do the blockhead and its variation, or take a mouse trap like this and set it off on one's tongue. Relatively minor injuries, so it's easy to do 4, 5, 6 times. But I'd hate to do the mouse trap that many times.
That's not the end of the world. And the oddball will be a little bit different than our typical set. Usually we bring in a one set evening where we know we're only going to be doing this once. We tend to push the limits as much as possible, which usually means we're going home with scrapes and bruises and holes. And so for oddball, because we will be there for so long, we are going to be doing more of what I would consider a busking set, where over the course of the day we're going to do 4 or 5 sets, as opposed to one really big one. I can almost guarantee the very last set of the day will be a little bit bigger and better than the rest of them, but please come and see us over the course of the day, and they won't be the same thing every time. I hate doing that. It's boring, but we will be doing more repetition of feats as opposed to. So, for instance, let's say I lay down on the bed of nails. At an event like AMDEF, we broke 4 cinder blocks at the same time, right? 3? Okay.
The original plan was for...
The original plan was for 7, but we did 6. But we had some, snafus and time frames and things got moved around, and so we didn't really have time to actually pull that particular feat off. Over the course of oddball, we'll probably stick to 1 at a time, just for materials costs as much as anything else. Fortunately, unlike a band where all your investment is sort of upfront, you get your amps and your guitars and your drum kit, and once you have that. We burn through $50 a night in materials, so rebar, cinder blocks, concrete pavers, which is always really entertaining to go shopping at Home Depot.
Yes,
because you load up a shopping cart with 8 cinder blocks, 2 concrete pavers, and 2 pieces of rebar, and the guy at the counter's like, "What the hell are you guys building?" We're like, we're not building anything, we're just going to break all this. And they're like, "What?" Okay, I'm coming to your show. This sounds interesting. Once you explain it all. So, it's always entertaining.
Yes, always.
It's always fun to confuse people.
It is.
Well, then there was... when I was looking to upgrade the nail that I used in my nose, I started out with a 20-penny nail and wanted something bigger, and I had my 60-penny, which I didn't bring in, but it is quite a bit bigger. It's like a 2-gauge, where a 20 is, I think, a 6-gauge or something like that. So I had my gold nail and the one that I was currently on, but most of the places that I went to didn't carry any in-between sizes that existed. And I knew they existed because I could go to Wikipedia and other building supply websites, and most that I could find that had those, they wanted me to buy the 100 or by the 1,000, and I just need a couple so I can polish them up with steel wool, whatever. During a part of my day job, I do road tests for GPS software to make sure it's working properly. And there was a staple and nail supply store on the east side that I stopped in to ask them about these alternate sizes. And the lady was like, "Can I ask why?" And I'm like, "Sure." I pulled my 20-penny out of my pocket and I said, "Because I do this," and took the nail and went and pushed it into my nose. And the look of shock and horror on her face was priceless. And she's like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah. Pulled it out, said, now what I want to do is get up to this size nail, and showed her my 60. I need like a 30, 40, and 50-penny nail in between there. So they went and checked around. They didn't have any in stock, but because of my little impromptu show that I did for them, because actually I ended up sticking the nail on my nose a couple more times to, hey, you gotta see what this guy's doing. She made some phone calls and got some samples and then called me up. So I ended up with some new fans and some new nails for me to work on stretching my nose up to.
That's pretty cool.
Hooray for construction supply companies.
Yes,
Yay.
yes indeed.
All right. So, anything else you want to tell people about your shows and Oddmall?
I'm actually really excited for this event. It's, from what I understand, I haven't actually seen this, but they've been very successful in the other locations that they've done this in.
It's been going in Ohio for like 5 years. And It's been
Right.
highly successful.
I have a lot of friends in the art community, particularly the alternative art community, and I don't know how many of them. I'm sure I'm going to see a ton of people up there that I do know, but it's a very interesting format, vendor-based format, as opposed to it's not a show in a music venue sense of things, which is the way I feel like a lot of these events that we do happen, and it's like, okay, we're going to take over this relatively small space where we can maybe fit a few hundred people in there and get a couple of people to participate in it. These guys are thinking much bigger and broader, and it's I think it's a good thing to bring to Seattle. I think it gives a lot of people a lot more opportunities to also connect with an audience that we and they may not normally connect with, by bringing a mainstream advertising and promoting and marketing to people doing really cool things. So I'm pretty happy that this event's happening, and I hope that it's very successful, and I hope that everybody comes out and checks out the show and vendors and spends some money so that we can do this again in 6 months or 12 months. And
Actually, it won't even be that long. He's already plotting the next one.
the next one. I mean,
And he's
it's
talking 2 days. I have information that I can't share. I've been asked to keep quiet about it, but Oddmall will be even bigger and better the next time around. It's like a multi-day events, and this time 7 food trucks, 150 plus vendors. We're just kind of there to provide entertainment to the thousands of people that are passing through to check things out. So it's just going to get bigger and better.
Oh yeah.
I think they've got 2 artists now. Xavier from the art gallery that we have performed at a couple of times. He's doing live painting up there along with someone else. So it's definitely turning into a pretty amazing thing.
I'm very excited about this event. So.
Yeah.
So Oddmall is happening at the Linwood Convention Center on September 22nd. It starts at 10 a.m., goes till 6 p.m. So if you're in the Linwood area, or you have that Sunday off and want something fun to do, want to come see the Wreckless Freaks, then be sure to stop by, check out the food trucks, all the vendors, the artists, come by. It's free admission, so save up your money to go ahead and buy some things. Tormented Artifacts is one of the vendors. We did talk about them briefly in our first episode. So go on by, see what kind of awesome things Dimitri has in store for it, and come by, say hi to the Wreckless Freaks, and see their awesome show throughout the day. So, that's one different aspect of nerdom that we have yet to cover in our podcast, which is awesome because we've been talking a lot about comics and cosplay and all that, which seems to be the norm in the geek culture, but you guys coming on definitely brought on a different aspect of the different things that are in the nerd culture.
Right.
So, and I know we discussed this briefly. There's been an article going around over the past few days about the whole Harley Quinn suicide thing and women in comic books and just in the geek culture. So, how do you guys feel about women in geek culture?
Yeah, you haven't been online much.
I don't. I've not been online.
Why don't you go ahead and bring Ben up to speed on that?
So, for Sideshow Ben, and those of you that don't know, DC Comics started a contest for aspiring artists to go on ahead and submit a 4-panel comic page for the popular villain Harley Quinn. The first panel is Harley is sitting naked in a bathtub. Oh no, sorry. Panel 4, the part that has been causing the most problems, it started off with like Harley Quinn tickling a whale's mouth and, you know, just odds and ends that seem very Harley Quinn-ish. The biggest problem that started this big uproar in with DC Comics is Harley Quinn sitting naked in a bathtub with toasters, blow dryers, blenders, appliances all dangling above the bathtub, and she has a cord that will release them all. We are watching the moment before the inevitable death. Her expression is one of, oh well, guess that's it for me. And she has resigned herself to the moment that is going to happen. So, a week before this contest went up, DC Comics also said that Batwoman, though she's lesbian, cannot marry her significant other. So, DC Comics has been kind of having issues.
No pun intended.
Wow. Okay. So can you restate the question that was? What is your question?
How do you what's your opinion on the women in geek culture, both in comic books and video games and all that, but also the actual living human beings?
I was actually. For those of you who live outside Seattle, we have an amazing weekly newspaper called The Stranger. It's free. And 2 weeks ago, there was a anonymous about women in cosplay that was basically saying the jackasses who don't know what the hell they're talking about and get down on women doing that are creating long-term problems and sort of forcing women to, not forcing, but they're causing women to feel like my vocabulary is not working with me today. Again, sorry. I've been a geek for a really long time, and I always felt like the other geeks around me, we were always missing the feminine attitude towards it, and it's really good to see women starting to come into the geek culture in such a way that they're fully participating, and people who try to downplay that are basically like the biggest jackasses ever. And that your gender should not identify you as anything other than just, you know, man and woman doesn't matter. Like, we all want to have good times and enjoy what we enjoy, and it really shouldn't matter at all. And by the way, in the state of Washington, gay marriage is legal now, and I work at a gay bar, and so anybody who feels otherwise about that. So, yeah. That's my 2 cents, which was terribly stated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was a thing that I saw floating around on Facebook the other day where someone had taken a picture of this girl. I was not familiar with the character that she was cosplaying as. It looked vaguely like a female steampunk Joker. And some guy captioned it, said gender swapping steampunk version of the Joker, you're now taking cosplay and turning it into trying too hard or something like that. And a lot of girls and other fans of the comics very quickly pointed out to this jackass that she was very faithfully dressed as an actual character. She wasn't putting her own interpretation on the Joker. And, it was just the ignorance where someone feels that they have the right to rip apart someone else's cosplay but then doesn't even understand or know what it is just ridiculous. I find it offensive that women aren't allowed by some of these people to cosplay in their own interpretations. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen plenty of fat nerds, I guess, to put it bluntly, nerd guys doing their version of cosplay of characters and they don't give each other about it. But, you know, God's forbid a girl who has a different body type than the character that she wants to cosplay as puts time and effort and gathers the courage to go out there and show everybody this. I mean, I've seen some amazing costumes that, you know, the body type isn't faithful to the rather unrealistically drawn women that exist in comics. But they're mind-blowingly amazing, and guys who feel the need to rip them apart because that person doesn't fit in what this body image catalog should be for that character, or I just lost my train of thought.
Well, there was I know for Dragon Con, Yaya Han did her Snow White costume.
Mm-hmm.
And she had, you know, group of people with her. They did this whole big Disney princess thing, and all the costumes looked phenomenal. I mean, she did an amazing job. And one person started saying, oh, well, you know what, she shouldn't be doing this because Snow White's white and Yaya Han isn't. And, you know, it's the whole thing.
It's too proven.
It kind of, it stuns me sometimes that video games and comic books and all that, our last episode we actually discussed an article that stated that comic books are directed towards men and women shouldn't be reading comic books and everything. And, you know, it's a growing culture and women are becoming part of it. And it's, you know, it kind of amazes me on how people are like, oh, you don't fit this body type, or you don't have the right skin color or the right hair to be this character.
Or because you're half naked like this character exists in there, it's okay for me to slut shame you or touch you inappropriately.
Exactly.
You know, that there's so many things that I've read about that if I had been there, there would have been somebody getting my fist removed from his face for the way that they act towards some of these women. It's just, it's wrong.
It is.
You know, and to a certain extent, you can blame the comic book artists over the last 50 years for drawing these unrealistic half-naked women. I mean, some of these costumes, I've seen blogs talking about being able to realistically fight crime in some of the outfits that they put these female superheroes in. It's like, is it Power Girl, the one that has all of her cleavage showing there?
Oh, yeah, the boob window, yeah.
Yeah, you know, what is the point in that? You know, are you trying to stun the nerds that are robbing the bank? Because, like, oh my god, cleavage.
Well, it's like Starfire, her costume, you know, it's the way that it is right over the chest. I'm like, how does that stay on? How can she keep her outfit on?
Super glue.
Most likely.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of burlesque dancers that
tape.
give tips. So,
yeah,
the proper kinds of glue to make it stick on there.
Yeah, it's a spirit gun.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed what you could do. Sorry, I don't. I sarcastic comment, and I'll just stay out of it.
But it does seem like recently, with the whole shift in the fact that being a nerd is now suddenly cool, there's the whole thing where you've got the faux nerds and, you know, these women that are like, oh, it's cool, therefore I must be a nerd, and they don't know who Power Girl is, and they don't really know much about anything.
Glasses and a video game controller don't make you a nerd.
Exactly. Or you have, you know, video game companies where they're sexualizing characters. I think it was when the new Lara Croft came out, they had a rape scene in there, and that caused a big uproar with people. And it's just, there's so many different aspects where women aren't taken seriously in the geek culture, in my opinion.
I think that's something that is going to take time and conversation about to continue to deal with. You know, the mainstream male-dominated geek culture has taken 30 years to actually become something that people even started to respect. You know, like now nerds are cool.
Yeah.
But it's been forever, and unfortunately, bringing the women and the feminine aspect into that is going to take time and continue to have this conversation. Mm-hmm. You know, like, why is it a problem? Why is this continuing to be a problem? What can we do to try and encourage women to do what they, or people, man, woman, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
People, to do what they want to do, and don't worry about other people judging you. Just do what you like, And that's what makes a nerd, because they're like, I don't care what other people think about me. I am into this, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm a nerd in this way. And just be yourself. Ultimately, that's all that really matters. Just be yourself and be willing to, put yourself out there. It's let people judge you and don't care about it.
And don't harm others.
And yes, absolutely. Let's keep this all positive. That's if you're feeling like you do need to come down on somebody else, you should think about how you feel on the receiving end of that, because it's pretty much absolutely against any sort of violence or sexual intimidation, physical intimidation is absolutely wrong. Do not do that.
Right.
I'm a tall, skinny dude with big feet. I will kick your ass if I feel like you need it. So, don't be a jackass. But just be yourself. That's really what it comes down to.
Yep.
Being a nerd is not caring about what people think about you.
Exactly. It's being you and being happy in your own skin.
Yep.
Whether you're a plus size model that loves to cosplay, or you're horribly skinny and people make fun of you because you look like a runway model.
Yep.
You're you. You do what you feel makes you happy.
Yeah.
Participate in the activities that give you joy.
Don't change who you are for everyone else.
Exactly.
I've seen and heard too many horror stories of cosplayers going on diets or going on and trying to change their costumes because of what people have said.
Yeah. Now that being said, if you want to change, do it for you, not for anybody else. I mean, I will always encourage people to live a healthier lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't do it for somebody else. Do it only for yourself, because that's what really matters. If you want to improve yourself, then improve yourself, and you can certainly get support from your friends and the people who care about you, who are around you, but don't let people's judgments affect how you think of your person. That's something that took me a really long time to figure out.
Well, something that I learned in past relationships, I would have various facial hairstyles, long hair and stuff, and would have girlfriends, want me to cut my hair because they prefer it to be shorter or whatever. I would always resist it and tell them. It finally got to the point to where it was like, okay, I will take your request for my short hair under consideration, but if I do cut it, I didn't do it for you. And the first time I said that, I was like, well, why do you say it like that? Because if I hate the way it looks afterwards, I don't want to, on some level, put any blame on you. I want it to be my decision that I cut my hair, so then the only person I can be angry with because I feel like I look bad is me. And that's the way it should be. You should never pressure friends, family members, people in your relationships with. Be like, hey, it would be great if you did this. And give your reasons for it. The backlash on you and then even on their psyche. If you go and pressure someone into going and doing something and then you end up not liking it, then you're going to be a dick to them and it was ultimately your fault. That's just not cool.
So how are you guys feeling about DC's whole naked Harley Quinn contest thing?
I think it's beyond Yeah, I mean, what? There was some magazine a few months ago that did a photo shoot, fashion shoot, where it was all of these famous female authors who had committed suicide. And the theme of this photo shoot was these girls like they were these authors right after they had committed suicide. And that just blew up all over the place because it's a pretty stupid idea to go and do something like that. You'd think that the PR people at DC would have been like, oh, well, hey, wait a minute, before we go and put this out here, these guys got all this negative press because of what they did, and this is even stupider.
Well, and the fact that they did this the week after they said, "Oh, sorry, even though Batwoman's lesbian, she cannot marry her significant other, this woman that she loves. We will not allow it."
Well, I've already spoke my piece on that issue.
Yeah.
But
So let's just add a few.
objectifying a woman is one thing. Objectifying suicide is something that I've dealt with personally on a couple of different occasions, both myself and people around me. It's pretty low, like that's pretty low, and it's unfortunate that a publisher would stoop to that level for whatever reason they did it. I get it. We're all shock value is everything. That's what I do for fun, to keep you guys entertained, is shock value. Absolutely. That's not awesome at all.
I have been out of mainstream comics for a number of years, so I catch the bits when I see people posting about these things. Isn't Harley a member of the Suicide Squad?
She is.
Now?
She's now, with the new DC 52 reboot, she's now part of the Suicide Squad. And this contest also happens to be right around National Suicide Prevention Week. So, perfect timing for that.
Well done.
Yeah. Good job, DC.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how to feel. I know exactly how I feel. I'm pretty about it, but
Yeah.
I don't know what I could actually do or opinion that I could express that would, it's pretty low.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to say about it.
When I first saw it, I was like, oh, well, maybe they'll change their mind, and then more articles started popping up, and I was like, okay, no. I don't know what they were thinking.
I mean, if you're wanting to do the tie-in with the whole Suicide Squad thing, why do they have to go and tie in her and have her be committing suicide in that manner? We don't have to objectify women in the comics all the time. If you want to make a point, because there could be somebody who came up with this, it's like, okay, yeah, here's why. And we don't know that, and it might make complete and total sense. But the fact that they took it's like, oh, well, we'll have her be naked in a bathtub and committing suicide in that manner.
Well, and this month they're releasing all the supervillain comics. So they've already got Poison Ivy, Joker, and Two-Face out. So this is for Harley Quinn's issue 0 villain comic book. So it's kind of why?
Pretty messed up precedent to start
Yeah.
whether it be a miniseries or whatever. That's weird.
Well, that's why I love the Hawkeye initiative.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with that, Ben? It's where somebody pointed out the fact that on one of the Avengers movie posters, all of the male Avengers are all like looking all macho and tough, but Black Widow was like all turned with her ass pointing out. So they're like going, okay, why is it that the female superheroes are always portrayed in a sexual manner? So they've gone to this where there's a lot of people who've done alternate versions of that where she's the one looking all tough and heroic and they're looking all goofy, showing their ass to things. So it's turned into this whole big, let's open our eyes and change the way that the female heroes and villains are portrayed. They don't have to be sex objects.
No, they really don't. And that's one of the things. And there's an article that went around. Marvel's actually talking about creating the Miss Marvel / Captain Marvel movie. So they're actually going to make the live action with, I think, Katie Sackhoff.
That would be cool.
So Marvel's actually starting to go in the right direction, from what I understand and what I've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
But DC just seems like they're making bad decision after bad decision and going downhill. And I know you and I talked about it briefly before recording. The variant covers is also destroying the comic book thing.
Yeah.
You know, you've got 6 different covers, and you know the sealed comics.
The special bagged edition.
It's like, why spend all the money to collect them all when it's all the same story?
Yep.
Art value alone, like collector value, is that really why you're doing this for the value, or are you actually getting something out of the content?
I think it's more of being suckered in by the comic manufacturers who are trying to flag sales.
Oh yeah, no, I mean
Yeah.
I totally get it. What I'm saying is, as somebody who is going to purchase this item, are you purchasing it for the collector value or for its content value? And are these companies taking advantage of people that are in it for the collector value? Yes.
Yeah.
Are you in it for the collector value? Then don't worry. Then you're going to buy this stuff no matter what. If you're in it for the content, don't worry about the collector value.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like it's
Oh,
that's all I'm saying is that, like, as consumers, you are responsible for your purchasing decisions. Don't let anybody dictate that to you any other way. Like, if you're in it for the content, get the one you like. It's, you know, I get why they're doing that. I've been in marketing. I totally understand. Don't get suckered in by it. If you're in it for the content, get the content that you like, and don't worry about collector value.
Occasionally, it's nice to have like variant covers.
Sure.
And you know, especially with like the Crow, you have the James O'Barr cover, and then you have the regular cover.
Right.
It's nice to have that, but sometimes with the new villains issues, they have the Joker with all the 3D, and it's just a full 3D cover, and then you have the regular one.
Right.
And it's like, why am I going to spend $1 more for this cover?
If you appreciate it, sure. If you don't get suckered in by their marketing
It's the exact
techniques.
same thing. It's the exact same thing, and it looked better online when they showed the images of it online.
Right.
The actual cover itself, it's not that impressive.
Yeah. If you
I was
appreciate
kind
it,
of
buy it.
disappointed by
If you don't. You know.
I was a little disappointed by that cover, but so,
pretty much the only comics that I've really purchased lately have been Dark Tower related, the Stephen King ones, and because it was just such a pain to get down to the store, you know, not being a regular, and it wasn't. I don't know. I had a hard time getting them, so I just stopped getting them as issues. I just waited for the
Box sets.
like the trade
Yeah.
edition that would have, it's like, oh, here's all 6 issues of this limited series all in one, because that just seems a lot easier, and they usually contained at least a reproduction of what the alternate covers were, because they would have all these 5 different versions, it seemed, of the different ones that were of varying rarities and all that. I just needed to stay away. Recovering comic book addict. I was the guy that fell for it back in the day when they relaunched X-Men. Yeah, I had all of the different covers, plus one more to actually read. Because all of the other ones got sealed up in bags, because someday this could be worth some money. And then finally I realized that, no, the fact that they're making hundreds of thousands of copies of these different covers, they're not going to be worth anything down the road. They're worth less now than they were cover price, I believe, in a lot of the circumstances. You know, because everybody was going, oh, well, I'll just seal this away. My grandkids will go to college on this.
Believe in the content, not the marketing.
Exactly. And that's what I finally learned. But then my addiction was, I had to know how every storyline turned out, every freaking crossover, Fall of the Mutants, when it got me hooked into Thor and other ones that I didn't collect previously. Could never be just content with buying the crossover issue as like, oh, I mean, it totally worked. Their marketing and storytelling worked, because they got me over there to buy that one issue. And it's like, oh, well, I got to find out what happens now after this, and then all of a sudden I'm collecting 50 comics a week.
That's how they get you.
Yes.
The DC does the same thing. That's how they get you.
And then you occasionally run into where suddenly somebody like I don't even know how to pronounce Rob Liefeld.
Yep.
Guys, makes my brain hurt thinking about what his bodies are like, and I love laughing at all the little things that go and rip him apart for his complete utter lack of knowledge of proper body anatomy. And it would drive me nuts when somebody like that, whose art I found to be repulsive, is suddenly the golden boy and is doing everything all over the place. And
Well, he kind of shot himself in the foot a few months ago, so. He was working with DC. He screwed up the new Deathstroke, which I was really pissed off about. Then he decided, instead of telling DC he's quitting, he tweeted, DC can go f*** themselves, and so now no one really wants to work with them.
wow.
Yeah. So yay, Liefeld's gone.
Woo.
So aside from comic books, any other nerdy hobbies, interests?
I'm a pinball addict. I love shorties. I've been playing pinball seriously for the last, 8-9 years. And actually the multi-cover thing that you're talking about translates directly to pinball machines. The new pinball machines that are released by Stern these days all have multiple back glasses, and certain ones are more expensive, and it's exactly the same marketing techniques. Yeah, I don't really like new pinball machines. But Wizard of Oz is awesome. Jersey Jack, rad. Good job, guys, getting a new pinball company off the ground and selling machines. Ever since Williams folded, it's been Stern and only Stern, and they don't really make that great of pinball machines. And the Jersey Jack machine it's a lot of fun. It's hard as hell, which is great, without being absolutely ridiculous. Gary Stern is a very interesting guy, and he's got some interesting layouts and good marketing techniques, and I'm glad that they've stayed alive when every other pinball company has died. But Jersey Jack is awesome. Thank you for getting a grassroots pinball company off the ground and being successful with it. So that's rad. Yeah, pinball's cool. Flip balls, it's fun. Spend quarters, it's good shit. Support your local vendors and operators. Everybody should play more pinball. It's good for you. It's like meditation.
It is.
Metallica. That's my one vice that I've kept with as far as collecting.
Metallica.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I have lots of crazy, rare autographed things and super limited edition items. And, say what you will about their music or whatever. I love them. I love their stuff. And yeah, I have a very envious collection. So there's some people.
Yeah, no, it's too busy these days to really nerd out on anything anymore. I know that sounds messed up. Like I have drifted from my roots. I know it's terrible, but yeah, I'm a busy guy these days. I barely even have time to play pinball anymore, let alone the comics from when I was a kid, or even music. Too busy.
Yeah.
I don't collect anything anymore. It's terrible. But it's also because I'm doing other things that I really enjoy.
But at least you're busy and doing things you enjoy. So.
Yes, and it's not a terrible thing, but it is terrible, perspective, I guess. But yeah, less of a nerd now. I feel bad about it. I don't play video games anymore.
Sideshow nerd.
Yeah, I'm a sideshow geek now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even play video games hardly anymore. Terrible. I know. I'm like alienating this entire audience right now, but yeah.
It's okay, we forgive you.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to admit. I used to work for WB Games as an IT person, and I'm not even sure how many games I was given because my name was in the credits and I worked there that I haven't even broken the seal on and had time to play, which is pretty sad. It is fun though, every so often getting messages from friends that are like totally geeking out because, oh my god, I just beat the Batman Arkham Asylum and your name's in the credits. That was so fucking cool. It's like, yeah, if you just knew how many times I had to listen to Harley hearing the same bits over and over again, and the voice actor that they got for her just drove me nuts because, and probably just because the team right outside of my office was really heavily testing the DLC that had her in it. So I kept hearing the same bits over and over again, and I remember going out saying, "Can you please put headphones on before I go postal?" Because her voice was so annoying.
So note to self, don't play that game around you.
Well, now that it's been a couple of years since I was hearing it 50 million times a day, I'd probably be okay.
For a second.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to test that theory.
Yeah.
Right?
Just don't play that level over and over.
Yeah, no. So aside from Oddball, do you guys have any other shows coming up?
October 26th at Studio 7, we are going to be doing a show. The headlining music act is Spiderface, which is another project that I'm involved with. And it's an event that's going to be organized by the guys who run Crypticon Seattle. And there's going to be a bunch of bands and sideshow freaks and entertainers and costume contest and all kinds of stuff. I'm sure we will have some other Halloween weekend bookings. We haven't gotten them all nailed down yet. That's the only one that we are absolutely confirmed for. So that's the next one after this.
Well, birthday party.
Yeah,
12th.
we do a lot of. If you guys ever want us to come to your birthday party, please get a hold of us at wrecklessfreaks@gmail.com. Any party, doesn't matter. But yeah,
we've done weddings.
We have done weddings. Private parties are always good, so we do have other bookings. But the next public event that after Oddball is going to be September 26th at Studio 7 in Seattle. Is there a name for that event?
There is. I know I posted a link for it on our page.
Let me check real quick. Was it Sons of Horror Halloween Ball?
Yes.
That's the one.
Yep.
Check it out. Spiderface is ridiculous. Please check those guys out. It's shock rock horror punk. It's good stuff. Lots of fake blood. Girls dance around. Grinders throwing sparks all over the place.
Occasional real blood, because there was that show at the 2-bit where you did the Wolverine piercings on my hands live on stage. The Spiderface performing.
Good stuff. Please check those guys out. Check out our videos with Spiderface and with the Wreckless Freaks. I think that's it for now. We're actually kind of slowing down. We slowed down our bookings a little bit. If you guys missed this, Lurch just had surgery on Wednesday. We've been planning this Tuesday. We've been planning around this surgery for the last 4 months. So we've sort of slowed down. We'll start picking back up again over the course of the fall and winter. So we didn't really know where we were going to be at this time of the year. I
want to make sure that I'm as healthy as possible so I can get out there and hurt myself in other ways.
Right?
Yeah.
Pain, not injuries.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and on our Facebook we'll be posting links for that. Definitely link them to your Facebook page.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to tell our loving fans?
We're coming out of Bedlam Coffee right now. If you guys didn't know this, it's also in Seattle. It's my friend of mine's company. Love this place. Come get awesome coffee. anytime you're in Belltown, they're open every day. So.
Mm-hmm. They're on 2nd and Bell in downtown, in Belltown, Seattle.
Yep. And since you're here, if you do come down, get a cup of coffee, walk across the street, play some pinball at Shorty's. It's a great little bar. So, yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, that's about all I got.
Wreckless Freaks, Active Entertainment, Bedlam, Shorty's. Yeah, we're good.
We'll link it all on our Facebook page when the episode goes up.
And we'll, of course, link back to yours once the podcast gets on it.
So, I guess that's it then.
All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Stay nerdy, everyone.